In this video, you will learn the 5 tricks I use to create this captivating hero section inside of Framer. If you want to follow along, as always, check the working file link in the description below. Now, the easiest way to make a hero section look amazing is by finding great visuals. As the notorious con man I am, for this one I used Midjourney to help me create an incredible avatar-looking wallpaper. However, getting the image is just the first step, which brings us to the first trick. To achieve this cool zoom in effect used in the intro, we need to separate the character from the background. So the first thing we do is to import our image into Photoshop. Once our image is imported, we're just gonna take one of the selection tools here, and I'm gonna use object selection tool. I'm gonna select this whole object here. Once fully selected, I'm gonna go to select and mask. I'm gonna go down here and output it to a new layer, hit OK. And now, as you can see, we have those two as separate layers. The next step is to highlight our original image in the layers panel and use the content aware remove tool. Now we're gonna fill out the area that we want to remove. So I'm gonna just do this. Oh, this is hard with a trackpad. Once filled out, I'm gonna hit Generative Fill, and I'm gonna say remove. Even though they suggest you don't say things like that, I'm just gonna say it. Once that's done, make sure that we hide the layer on top with the hero image. And here we have a pretty cool background. We can change between the alternatives, see what looks best. I think this one looks best. Now we're gonna go and export these layers. So I'm gonna take the foreground here. Let's hide everything else. I'm gonna go and quick export as PNG, call it hero image 1, very original. Then I'm gonna hide that. I'm gonna take these two, so the generative fill one and the original hero image. I'm gonna merge them. Let's see here, right click when I have both targeted, merge layers, and once that's done, right click, quick export as PNG, hero image 2, super original. Now I've exported my images into Framer. I'm gonna place the character on top here, make sure that it doesn't end up inside of the background image. Then I'm gonna select them both, add a frame, call it hero. Once that's done, I'm gonna drag it into my view. With the hero selected, I'm gonna go to width and set it to fill. Now it will fill out the entire canvas. And what we want to make sure here is that our hero image 2, or the background, is actually pinned to all sides so that it scales responsively. For this case though, we're not going to have 0 in all edges. We're going to use -150. This will make sure that our zoom effect later is going to look good, but you'll see more on this soon. Now, if we try to resize this, you'll see that it's responsive because we pinned it. How nice is that? I'll go to our hero again, and I'll set the old height to 100 in VH. This will make sure that this section always covers one full screen height for the visitor, regardless if they're using a huge monitor or just a small mobile device. Since this character is gonna grow into view as we enter the page, I'm gonna slide him down a bit like this. Now we want to add zooms to our images as we load the page. So I'll select the background image. I'll go to Effects, up here. Then I'll click on Effect, set opacity to 1, and scale to 0.85. Now, since the image stretches 150 pixels outside of the view on each side, it still covers the full screen at 85% in size, or scale 0.85. We'll then click on Transition here on Spring, go to the Ease tab, and set the duration, or the time, to 2 seconds. Now, if we hit play, you can see that we have this slight zoom in effect for the background. I'll hit escape and go back. In your left sidebar, you can see all the animations on your canvas by looking for this icon. So I'm going to go to the background here with this animation, and I'm going to right click on this effects here, or this effect, and I'm going to copy it. I'm then going to select my blue little gentleman here, right click him, go to paste, and paste effects. Now, if we play it again, we have the zoom in on both. So both the character and the background. And by the way, in my upcoming Framer course, I'll show exactly how to make full websites like this one. So if that sounds interesting, sign up to the waitlist in the link down below. Okay, so time for the second trick, and this one elevates everything. Do you remember the cool little sparkles from the intro? That's a component we can find at framer.supply. So we'll head to framer.supply. I'm going to scroll down till I see this, the particles component. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to head back to our project. I'm going to paste it in. Now, keep in mind that you need to change the ID down here on this component for every instance that you add to your page. So if you have more than one, change the ID. Otherwise, they might just start fighting with each other and you're not going to see any of them. So I'm going to change this to avatar hero because I already have the effect in the view here to the left. I'm going to scroll to the top, go to backdrop, change that to 0% in opacity, and you can see that the black backdrop just disappeared. I'm going to place it inside of the background image, and then I'm going to go to the pins here, pin it to all sides, and change it to 0 for all sides. This will make sure that it always stays pinned to the image, so it scales responsively with our background image. Now, if we hit play, you can see that we have these amazing sparkles that even move on our mouse hover. Now, trick number 3 is great for big, bold text. Let's hit T and create a text field saying enter. I'll scale it up in size, move it a bit. I'll make it white by heading to the right sidebar, changing the color. Then I'll head to styles, hit plus, blending. I'm going to change the blending to overlay. Now, it doesn't look as cool yet because we need to change to a cooler font. And I have this cool custom font that I'm using, Toruk SC. And as a last little detail, I'm going to add a shadow. I'll change the y-axis to 4, blur to 12, and we can even add some more strength to the shadow. I'm going to go to size here and change from pixels to fit. This makes sure that your text size is always going to be according to the container it's in. So right now it's covering 100% of this container. Let's say that it should cover maybe 75. If we want to change the container, since this one is a minus 150 pixels outside of the frame, meaning that the text also goes outside of the frame, we can just place it here in this section instead. Now, if it doesn't immediately go back to its normal size, we can just resize it like this and then go to size again and change it to 100%. Which brings us to trick number 4, using Lotties. For the scroll animation icon, I'm going to go to insert, search for Lottie, and I'm going to use the Lottie component and the .lottie component. With this, you can paste any Lottie host file into this URL here. And I happen to have one with a scrolling mouse. So I'm going to take that one and I'm going to go in here and paste it. And there we have it. Change this backdrop to 0% in opacity. I'm going to scale it down a bit. Place it here. Zoom in. Create a text field. Writing something mysterious. Like that. Change the size. Something smaller. Zoom in. Drag it over here. Change to a different font. On web, not custom. I'll take Rubik. maybe even smaller than that. 14. That looks cool. I'm going to select them both, right click, add frame, remove the background fill. I'm going to go back in here, drag it into our frame. Now, as you can see, it ended up inside of this hero image. I don't want that. So I'm going to drag it outside, put it on top. Then I'm going to center it. I'm actually going to make it into a layout. Going to set the height to be fit content. And now that I did that, I can change the gap here. I'll change it to 20. And now I'll go up a bit. Maybe I'll change the actual pinning here. 48 pixels from the bottom. Now with that done, why don't we bring in the logo type? You're gonna have to excuse the noise in the background, but I'm gonna pick a logo type, an SVG, drag it into our working file here, uploading it. Gonna resize it a bit, make it a bit bigger. Gonna drag it into our hero section. Gonna make sure that it's not within the background. It's gonna be on top here. And I'm gonna pin it 48 pixels to the top. Make sure that it's centered. I'm also gonna make sure that this little fella here is on top of the text so that the text appears to be in the horizon. Now, if we hit play, it's starting to look like something. However, my friends, now it's time for the final animations that puts it all together. We're going to make this logo appear from the top, while this humongous text field here and the scroll indicator down here appears from the bottom. All of them with slight delays. And if your Lottie turns invisible for some reason, don't worry. I don't know what the reason is, but it's just a bug. If you play it, it's still going to be here. Now let's start with the logo. I will select it. I'll go down to Effects, Appear, and change it to Slide In Top. This will make it travel less of a distance when animating, making it a bit smoother. Although this is really quick still, so we're gonna fix that in just a moment. I'll go back into the animation, Effect, Transition. I'm gonna add a delay of 2.5 seconds. I'm gonna change the mass to be 4, so it's a bit heavier. I'm gonna increase the damping so that it smoothens out. And I'm gonna change the stiffness to 300. I'll exit it. I'll go to the effect, right click and copy. I'm gonna go to the bottom stack, select it, go and paste the effects. Now I'll scroll down to the effect here, click on it, go into effect, and change from -60 to 60, because this one we want to come from the bottom instead of the top. And we're gonna go back to transition, and we're gonna change the delay to 3 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds. This way it animates 0.5 seconds after the logo. And now the grand finale. The humongous text. I'll go back to this, copy the effect, target or select our humongous text, right click, paste effects. I'm gonna go into the effect, and the offset here is gonna have to be much more, but it's still gonna come from the bottom, so it will be a positive value. I'll set 500. I'll head into the transition, change the delay to 2 seconds, the damping to 80, so a bit more damping, which will make it show before the logo and the bottom stack and land a bit smoother. If we play it, ladies and gentlemen, we have our hero section. If you're hungry for more, check out my Master Framer playlist here on YouTube, or go to timgabe.com/framer-course to join the waitlist for my upcoming course. Until the next one, have a great life.